Well, before I get started with this nice little gem of a story, got a little beatboxing coming up. As you know from the title, you already know it's coming. Give a little shout out to one of my peeps. He's the guy that he had his own designs put on these silver coins. You know, when he had them minted. These aren't exactly like, what's the spot price today of silver? You know, is this $1 over spot? What is this? These are like collector coins. Like a lot of time and money went into these when he had these created. So there's gonna be a bit of a premium, if you know what I mean. But he is going to give out Jason at 4 subscribers a 10% discount on anyone who wants some. The link to his site along with the 10% discount code will be in the description box below. And it's AG Silver Dojo, I think, is the actual website. But give a little shout out. Now I'm about to get on this video. However, anyone out there, either chiropractor, had this happen, little neck issue, knows about this, or has ever heard of something like this, may have a solution, just write it in the comments. My wife went and saw a chiropractor a few weeks, well, more like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. Got a little adjustment. She's been there numerous times. There was no issues. About a week later, okay, after the fact, when she turns her neck to the left like this, you hear it pop. Like when you crack your knuckles, or one knuckle, you crack it, pop. That's the kind of sound, and that's the kind of thing it is. And it can happen over and over. Like she can just keep doing this, crack, 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 and it'll just keep cracking. Does not hurt at all. But of course, when it goes into your neck, your ears hear it, you hear it, it's different than what I'm hearing standing next to her. So if she turns her head to the left, crack. But if she actually tilts her head to the right, like this, crack, it'll do it too. But if she looks to the right, it doesn't do it. So it's looking to the left, but tilting your head to the right will also pop it, pop. She's been looking up stuff all over the place, online, talked to a few people. Everything that she's found so far pretty much says that's a new part of your life that's not going away. And first we thought, well, maybe it was a chiropractor, but I was like, well, how soon did it happen? She's like, well, it was actually about a week later. It wasn't the same day or the next day or anything. It was like days and days later. So I'm like, I don't know if it'd been, something they did, but they told her, come back, let's see if we can help out. And they gave her another session or whatever, but not immediately, nothing happened. She went, crack, yep, still there. Crack, yep, still there. And, today she's been doing it, so I know it's there. So she's like, just ask your subscribers, maybe someone there has ever heard of this, or maybe they had it and it went away, or what, So anyone out there that may know anything about this, put it in the comments, please. So now I've got to prepare you for this video. Sears, Canada bites the dust. Oh boy, Wolf Street. Wolf Richter. Sears Canada meltdown. Goes bankrupt. Lays off 2,900 people. And shareholders rule the day. Sears Canada and its subsidiaries, which operate 95 department stores, 29 Sears home stores, 71 hometown stores, 16 outlet stores, 69 Sears travel offices, and 32 Corbeil appliance stores, and thus lease a lot of mall space too, filed for bankruptcy protection today being the 22nd of June. It will also close a slew of stores and fire 2,900 people. Company was partially spun off from similarly struggling Sears Holdings in the U.S. in 2012, which still holds a 12% stake, and whose CEO, Eddie Lampert, owns a 45% stake, in part via his hedge fund, ESL Investments. In the announcement, Sears Canada said that it has applied to the Ontario Superior Court of Justice for protection under the Companies Creditors Arrangement Act, or CCAA, in order to restructure its debts. It doesn't plan to liquidate. So it applied to the Ontario Superior Court of Justice. Why didn't they just ask for, they could have just asked our buddy Buford T. Justice. Smokey and the Bandit. In a later release today, the company said that it was granted an initial order from the court. Among other things, the order authorizes Sears Canada to obtain pre-arranged debtor in possession, or DIP, financing of Canadian $450 million, as in dollars, Canadian dollars. This is expected to provide the company with enough liquidity to keep some of its doors open through the bankruptcy proceedings. Only some of the doors, because Sears Canada will shutter 20 full-line locations, 15 Sears home stores, 10 outlet stores, 14 hometown stores, and lay off approximately 2,900 people across its retail network and at its corporate head office in Toronto. Timing of the store closings has not yet been finalized, it said. In the initial release, it claimed Sears Canada reinvention continues. Can we just call a turd a turd? Can we just call a turd what it is? A turd. The initial release claimed Sears Canada reinvention continues. We're reinventing ourselves. No, you're laying off a massive amount of people. You're filing for bankruptcy. Can we just call a turd and be honest with ourselves? Another turd flushed down the toilet. You know, in all seriousness, I hate seeing people losing their jobs. 2,900 people losing their jobs. It sucks. Yeah, but it's the other retailers like Amazon. They're putting them out of business. Then how could so many be going out of business that Amazon isn't hiring the 2,900 that it lost? You know, that store lost, and that other store lost thousands, and this one's lost thousands, and that one lost thousands. They ought to be, you know, at least half of them, some of, right? Amazon, come on. But that's not happening. Which means it's not just an Amazon thing. I've been trying to say. Despite sales having plunged for years, it points at its brand reinvention, how it rebooted its customer experience and service standards, and how its newly designed site built in-house by a new technology team, and some other factors are going to make this work. But retail businesses are notoriously difficult to restructure because they have so few assets and so much debt once they get to this stage, and because the collateral isn't worth much. Most end up being liquidated. Well, listen, Sears, I used to be a mechanic in the 1990s, mid 1990s to around the year 2000 or so. Service manager for a little bit. You know, I know my way around cars and vehicles. I had one of the best teachers, if you will, in Tampa, Florida. We worked on everything, so I got a whole lot of experience. Listen, if you're going to liquidate some of your Craftsman tools, they're not the greatest, but they're good. And they have lifetime warranty too. Look me up. Make me a sweetheart deal. And maybe I can help in your bankruptcy a little bit. You know, other than just doing videos telling the whole world where we're heading. Maybe we can make a little positive spin out of this. Hey, I bought some tools. You know, it's kind of like the homeless person today. See a problem? This guy looked like he was Jamaican type, you know, just sitting on the side of the street, little side entrance where I get my little smoothie shake every morning. And as soon as I pulled in and I saw him, I knew instantly when I leave, I'm going to throw him a 20. That's all I had in my wallet, because I gave my mama the other 40. I had 60. And you see how that works? You only gave your mom $40, Jason, for you only gave her $40. I never give her anything. She always reads me for free. Her son, she loves me. But again, it felt, Mom, here's $40. Go for it. If I given her the 60, I wouldn't have had the 20 to give to this guy who needed it 400 times worse than my mom. Isn't that amazing how things work? Now, the rest of you jackasses, put your foot into your mouth. Those of you who comment, oh, you only give it $40. What's wrong? You made $93K. You gotta give it $40. I'm sorry. My mom helped me make the $93K. She tell me, Joe, get into, I read your palm, get into cryptocurrencies and this one specifically and do that. No. Matter of fact, she probably would have thought it was insane, just like the rest of my family, until I told them we made $93K. Now my sister, nobody said life was fair. You think it's too late to get into those things that you sold the other day? Nope. It's not too late. Go to Gemini.com, sign up, put your bank info in. As soon as it's approved, whatever, buy 50% Bitcoin, 50% Ethereum of whatever money amount you want. Just sit back. So, anyways, had to give the guy a 20 on the way out. Shirt was completely ripped and horrible looking. I mean, this guy was in bad shape. Anyways, as I was doing it, like, what if I should record this? Because there's so many jackasses out there. Jason, it's like you make some money and all of a sudden you're supposed to be the resurrection of Jesus and help everybody and give money away to everybody and shut your stinking mouth. Those few of you who were talking that garbage. And my peeps know who you are too. We can all see your comments. But notice how usually I'll leave them. Unless it's something really bad. You know what? That don't need to be here. I'm cutting that comment out. Anyways. On June 13th, Wolf Richter reported that Sears Canada had hired the same leading bankruptcy and insolvency advisory firm, Osler, Hoskin, and Harcourt, LLP, that represents Target Canada, which ended up in insolvency proceedings in 2015 when it shuttered its 133 stores and 7 more locations it hadn't even occupied. Hiring that firm was a dead giveaway. June 13th was also the day Sears Canada disclosed another fiasco for quarterly results, that there were material uncertainties about its ability to continue to satisfy its obligations, given the rate at which it was bleeding cash, that it had doubts about its ability to continue as a going concern, and that lenders weren't willing to keep it afloat for the next 12 months. It added that, in light of these developments, it had canceled its annual shareholder meeting scheduled for the next day, and as a result, Jeff Stonework, a SVP at Sears Holdings, had resigned as a director effectively today. That was when he said it. It took only 9 days for its warning to turn into the reality of the ongoing brick-and-mortar retail meltdown. In today's announcement, Sears Canada projects some optimism that it would actually, against all odds, be able to restructure its business and go on, rather than liquidate and disappear. The brand reinvention of work Sears Canada has begun requires a long-term effort, but the continued liquidity pressures facing the company as well as legacy components of its business are preventing it from making further progress and restructuring its legacy assets and businesses outside of a CCAA proceeding. If granted, the Sears Canada Group would work to complete its restructuring in a timely fashion and hopes to exit CCAA protection as soon as possible in 2017, better positioned to capitalize on the opportunities that exist in the Canadian retail marketplace. Yeah, I'm going to go out to the desert in July and capitalize on the beachfront property. Yeah, does that make sense? Exactly. Even if it succeeds in restructuring, current shareholders, including Sears Holdings, its CEO, Eddie Lampert, and its hedge fund, ESL Investments, will likely end up with shares that are worth nearly nothing or exactly nothing. A restructuring essentially hands ownership of the company to its creditors that will also take a massive haircut depending on their seniority. Trading in its shares is currently halted. We don't want any of you sharks out there shorting us. Halted. They've been reduced to penny stock status long ago, and their value has become inconsequential. Shares of Sears Holding in the U.S. hit a new all-time low yesterday of $6.21. Today, again, the dip buyers that have been playing this game for years are trying to pick up pennies in front of a slow-moving steamroller, which works for a while if you're fast enough to get out of the way. Sears Holdings is skidding the same direction as its sister company. The ingenious strategy of cost-cutting and store closing its way out of trouble is leaving marks. Pretty soon, it leads to zero. And yeah, that's Wolf Richter, Wolf Street. Keeping it real. Got to keep it real. Realist news, man. What a shame, you know? It's just a shame. It really is. Take care.